Is it recording? I think it is. Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is my room. This is the studio wherein I do all the things for all time. I just finished doing a little bit of a reorganization. Like most people say, things usually need to get worse before it gets better, and that's what this is all about. But this is actually kind of the deal that I'm attempting to accomplish at the moment. The main deal is kind of like the new business, is what's going on in this corner of the desk. And I'll examine that in a second. We'll go over like a sort of a gear overview and sort of how the linking is working for lots of stuff. Here's the new chair, because it's a new chair. Yay! It's not as obliterated as the old one. The old one's actually still here. This is the room. This is the recording room, which is currently a sty because I don't have anyone in here. But I did just move around a whole bunch of crap. There's a gigantic trash bag that is filled with stuff. Cable mess. Here's the super bass. The super bass double keytar. I really hope that's showing up in the GoPro. We'll find out. And also the S8 plus the two statins. And here's a whole bunch of stuff. There's still a lot of business in there. You can see that, but there's my copy of Complete 6, which I don't use anymore because I have a copy of Complete 9. Down there is my computer, and down there is a whole bunch of cabinets, plastic cabinets that actually used to be on the tables that I replaced with just having space over here and having my guitars over here. What else? Up there are my lights I use. There's my stupid ass window. And normally there'd be a microphone over here, but I had to take it down to deal with some cables. I haven't put it back up yet. Here's actually my old computer. Here's a Behringer CMD Studio 4A that ImageLine sent me. And here's my old computer. A truly badass case that I am not using at the moment. I do have plans for that computer, though, so I may find use for it yet. Buried underneath the Doritos and some cables is my laptop that I use for performing the Krakatoa stuff live. And these are all mic cases. Early on in the recording studio life, I actually just bought a whole bunch of drum mic kits because for 7 microphones for $150, that was actually quite a ridiculous deal. Especially because the microphones weren't that bad. Here's my copy of Metal Foundry and my copy of Superior Drummer. All kinds of good stuff. So let's go over what's going on over here. So these are all my guitars. And actually, a cool thing about this guitar rack, that's just a 6 or a 5, I forget how many. I'm actually using 2 in a single slot back there. Is that there's actually space beneath it that's enough to put a whole bunch of stuff. So down there I have all of my MIDI controllers in business that I'm not really using a lot. That's actually a MIDI interface over there for triggers, and that's also a tablet, a pen tablet, that I used for hilarious purposes. Over there is the first DJ mixer I bought, and then a Complete A6 Studios. I forget what the hell they call it. It's one of Native Instruments' interfaces that I was using with that mixer that I don't need anymore because I had the S8. This is the Yamaha MG12, which I use to do all my recording. Because what happens, the way this works, let's actually get up in here. The way this works is that I can get more light. Spotlight. So coming in up here is the stereo out from my interface, which is PreSonus Fire Studio project. I actually have 2 of them, two Fire Studio projects, and that's the purpose for that is for because I record drums and bands and that kind of thing. They daisy chain, so they're both going in the computer into one FireWire out. Down here is an Alesis power amp for my passive KRK ST8 monitors. That's what I use for monitors. The cool thing about this power amplifier is that it has no fans. It's not super loud. It's not like it's like I think 200 watts is its max, but that's way beyond what I need for these particular speakers, which means it does not make noise. This mixer, so back to this mixer. So the output of the interface is going into this mixer onto number 5.6 here, and then I have group outs and then the main outs. The main outs are going to the power amplifier, and the group outs are going back into the interface. And this is how I accomplish routing my voice and ASIO and screen capturing all together. There's actually reasonably decent software solutions that can accomplish this now, but at the time when I got this mixer, there were not really. So I don't really mess with that. The way the group out business works is that I actually plug my mic into input 1 over here. You can see that it's actually on. And I plug it into input 1. And this is a 4-bus, I guess technically a 2-bus mixer. It's got two sets of stereo outs. Is what I'm saying. It has a main out and a group out. So you can see here group 1, 2 in stereo, and you can tell inputs where to go in terms of the buses. So I have on my main out, I have the input from the audio interface, and that's it. And then on the group out, I have the input from the audio interface and my microphone, and that group is going out into the input of my audio interface. This is so that I can hear my voice and I cannot hear myself talking, and there's no feedback, and it's really manageable and super great. There's also built-in compression on the mic channels, so the compression that you're hearing on my voice is actually from the mixer, because I'm doing no post-processing using computer stuff. I'm doing the post-processing with the actual mixer. There's even the EQ and trim and panning and all kinds of good stuff that I actually need to do, because I cannot actually get these two inputs to be the same value, because the little knobs are a bit squishy. It's annoying. Up here's all my guitars. This guy in front is an LTD EC1000. It's got a bunch of really cool shit, but the thing that I like about it is the Evertune bridge. Yeah. I did a video on it once. I was mostly a demonstration of it. But the beautiful thing about it is that it keeps the guitar strings perfectly in tune forever. Literally forever. And it does so purely mechanically. It's not an electronic process. It's not like the Fender robot guitar, or is that a Gibson guitar? I forget what guitar. The guitars with the automatic tuners. It's not what this is. It's a whole huge thing, so just Google it, you'll find out about it. It's called Evertune. Behind it is a Schecter Damien 7 and a Schecter Damien 6. It is the 6th and 7th string version of the same guitar. The 6th string version is what I got first. It was actually a gift from my father in Christmas of 2008, and it was the first guitar I ever owned. The 7th string version I actually bought a lot more recently. Someone talked to me on Facebook, and I like the guitar so much, so I wanted a 7th string version, so I guess I got that. I did actually get another 7th string guitar before I got that guitar. It's just not here at the moment. Behind that is the MIDI bass. The industrial radio MIDI bass, the greatest bass guitar on earth. Behind that is a cheapo, stupid 6-string fretless guitar that I decided to get to see if I could play a fretless bass. Turns out I can, but I have no real desire to pursue that much further. And behind that is a Schecter Stiletto Studio 5-string bass guitar. It's currently missing a string, but it is a really badass bass guitar, and that's what I use when I do studio recordings for bass guitars, because I do have the super bass. Super bass is an Ibanez SR506, a really good bass guitar with really good pickups. Bartolini Mark 1s, very good pickups. And it is, however, a super bitch to record with because of the attached keyboards, and the keyboards are never going to come off, so I can't play this thing super well in a studio environment, so I just don't. And all the recordings that you hear for things like Krakatoa happen on the Schecter bass. And so that's pretty much what that's for. Now, actually, since we're talking about the mini bass, let's talk about what's going on over here. That's a wireless keyboard that I use for controlling my second computer, which is my old computer. It's also what I got this wireless trackball mouse for, because I have this mouse, which is actually a Microsoft Laser Mouse 6000 or whatever. It's super old, and I pretty much cannot use any other mouse. And I love this mouse; it's super great. I can play all my games with it. It's just amazing, and it's just super cool. But this trackball mouse, for the thumb trackball mouse, is the whole purpose of this. Is that means that I don't have to move it to control something non-pressure. So if I want to move, like I have a second monitor, which I'll probably put up over here somewhere, and it just takes up all the space it's going to take up, and I don't need to move anywhere. Whereas this mouse, if I had two mice that had, that move around a lot, I would need to keep up a lot of desk real estate to have that happen. But because I have the trackball mouse, I can just put it where I want to put it, and it's wireless, so it can just go away, and it just works. It's super cool. That's a USB 3 hub. That's my phone and my iPod. The iPod was actually a present for my mom in 2009, and I actually recently found it just now because of this whole cleaning thing that I was doing, and it's a lot of cool stuff. Down there is my computer, my current computer. That case is a Corsair Air 540. It looks big and cubic, and that's because it's basically two cases side by side. The whole point of it, the whole thing about it, is that it's dual chamber. So you have one side that's got the CPU and the motherboard and all that kind of good stuff, and the back end has all the hard drives, disk drive, and the power supply. So it's called the Air 540 because it's optimized for airflow. I am, however, air cooling or water cooling my CPU because, and I have not done this yet, I plan on overclocking the shit out of my CPU. The CPU itself is an Intel i7-5820, which is the lowest end X99 CPU there is, which is saying something because it's still a 6-core, 3.2 gigahertz CPU out of the box. The only limitation about it that I may or may not have unintelligently stepped into was that it's only got 20 PCIe lanes, which might not sound like a problem, but I do plan on doing SLI because it's also got GTX 980. It would have 2, except that the second one hasn't shown up yet because it was backordered. And the whole 20 PCIe lane thing means that I cannot run both CPUs in X16 mode. I have to run one of them in X8 mode. Turns out, though, that doesn't actually matter a lot because the PCIe lanes aren't bottlenecked by the cards themselves. The cards can't output bandwidth that actually saturates the full X16 slot. Not very well, anyway. So the performance hit is marginal at best. The other things that it matters for are if I wanted to do something like a PCIe-based SSD for ridiculous speeds or something like that, or to utilize the M.2 port. All of those things use PCIe lanes. And if I'm maxing out on that on some SLI setup, that could be an issue. So that's actually the main difference between the 520 and the 530, I think is the next one. In case you were wondering why the other one costs $200 more. And that's why. It's got 64 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4, 2133. It's got, the main drive is a 500 gigabyte SSD, and I have a 1 terabyte RAID 0 SSD that is 2 512 SSDs together. I'm using that for my East-West libraries for streaming because East-West doesn't load into RAM, it streams from the hard drive. So the faster the hard drive, the better performance you have with those libraries. That's pretty much it for this computer. It's a lot of fun. I have a gigantic, this is like a 4 terabyte hard drive, or 3 terabyte hard drive, something like that. That's just archival backup stuff. Use my monitors. The top one up there is an Acer XB280HK. It's a 4K, which is to say 3840 by 2160, which is not actually literally 4K, but it's huge as fuck. And then down here is some weird Dell monitor that came from a computer from 6 years ago that is 1680 by 1050. And I have the mixer maximized on here. Check this out. This mixer is the same DPI as on this monitor as it is on the top monitor. So look at this. That's how big that is on 4K. That's ridiculous. 4K is really ridiculous. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool, especially in games. Like 4K 60 FPS is like the new gold standard for awesome. The thing is, though, is that just about nothing supports proper scaling in terms of 4K. So it can be kind of hard to deal with. Anyway, I was talking about this guy, this interface. This is the FretSense interface for the MIDI base. The MIDI base, you can actually see it. It's got that weird little port up there. That's a serial port. It's basically a VGA cable. The port pulls into that and goes into here. And that outputs a whole lot of stuff. It outputs the mag input, which otherwise known as the pickups. It outputs MIDI. And it outputs the 4 individual piezo outputs. That's why we're seeing these 4 cables go into the audio interface. The individual piezo outputs, the whole purpose of doing that is to set up a system by which in FL or something similar, I use level sensing controllers to control the MIDI notes. In particular, I would use the peak controller in this case. And the peak controller, what this will do is that, like, the MIDI on-off is based on what the piezo is doing, but with direct control of volume based on the piezo pickups, I can, like, I don't have to really worry about dynamics too much because it perfectly imparts the dynamics of what I'm playing onto the note that I'm playing. And it's just really cool. It requires a bit of finagling and a little bit of experimentation. I've only messed with it one time, but these cables that I'm using and this entire setup, I actually didn't set up until today. So I'm hoping to get a little bit of time in with that to make it something pretty neat. It's already, the bass guitars are already way better than anything I've ever used before without that. So that's just a bonus. I do not believe anything else in here is important in terms of talking about stuff, but this whole video is super janky, and that's okay because people keep wanting me to do a studio tour, and I will do one fully, for real at some point. But for now, you're stuck with this GoPro footage. This is an SM57. This is actually the microphone I use for recording videos on. The microphone is not set up because I had to take out the cable. Back here was just a gigantic mess, and it's still a gigantic mess. It's going to be a gigantic mess for a while, because one of the things I have yet to solve is my power problem. I'm actually running a whole bunch of cables through the doors between the studios because I'm too lazy to put them through the hole in there, but I'll put them through the hole because it's what it's for. But the reason I'm doing that is because the circuit of power that was in this room, not like those outlets and crap that are back there, is dead. And the circuit that's in the other room actually still works. So I'm just going to pipe in power from there until I get this guy fixed. I have no idea why it's not fixed. I don't understand the problem. I got to get an electrician and have him do stuff to the place. Oh yeah, this guy. This is my Logitech C920 Pro HD webcam. I normally stick it up here. So that right there is the angle that it is used to see me at. I was having an incredible amount of problems with this with my current reinstallation of the system. It's the same operating system that I was using before. It's still Windows 7. It's just that this computer has only one USB 2.0 port. Every other USB port is USB 3, and some of them are USB 3.1, which is different. And as it turns out, this particular camera doesn't like being plugged into USB 3.0 ports. This weird looking key is how you tune the Evertune bridge. It's essentially an Allen key. Evertune bridge is seriously a lot of fun. If you get a chance, I suggest you research it. There's the wireless keyboard for using the other computer. I mentioned the wireless mouse thing. I really think that's everything that matters. If you have any questions about this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.